So welcome back to a new Game Stuff episode, and today I got quite a few things to get through, and this is the last new Game Stuff of the year. I'll be back in January with another one of these, but this is the big all be end all one for the year. A lot of really interesting items, a lot of old items, and some surprise items for sure. But to begin with, I'll ask you guys, what have you picked up in the way of new game stuff? Have you picked up any merchandise, any new video games? Let me know down below. Now, my very first item is very, very special to me. It just showed up the other day, and it's bittersweet because it comes in the light of somebody passing away, and that is Rieko Kodama. Yes, the great legend at Sega who worked on the original Phantasy Star, who worked on Skies of Arcadia, was very into RPGs, and was a very strong figure in the industry. And I only found out from a post that Yuji Naka did showing her that she passed away. None of us knew. She passed away months and months ago, but the family wanted it kept, quiet and secret up to that point, and very, very sad to find that out. She was a legend, and she was one woman that I wanted to meet. I really wanted to meet this woman. But you know what? Her legend will never be forgotten. I want to dedicate this episode to her because I got the soundtrack to my favorite video game of all time. This is Breath of the Wild. This is my nostalgic one. A Phantasy Star right here on vinyl. And I can't believe this is the thing I own in the year 2022. As a kid, I would listen to the music from the Sega Master System, and then I would tape it onto tape. And then when I got older, I was able to find digital files, MP3s of that music. And then I was able to buy CDs, obviously with the MP3s on that. And then I would go back to vinyl. It's a really funny thing. And a lot of people ask, why would you get old video game music on vinyl? Isn't that ridiculous? If you don't love the game, I could see that you could find it ridiculous, but I like the big artwork. This is from the Mega Drive version right here. Some of the artwork from that. And the original Mark III version. And here we go. Beautiful looking stuff. And this is already opened because I was listening to it the other day. And just beautiful. This is like my most nostalgic music. This is my most listened to soundtrack. Put it this way. I know I've gone on about Phantasy Star over the years. But in 1988, I originally played the game. By grade 12, I was in grade 8 in 88. So a few years later, I was in grade 12. I was already nostalgic for this. Oh, look at that. Some of the artwork there for Alice. This is, anybody who's a Phantasy Star fan, highly recommend picking this up. This is why I buy vinyl. It's for this. For these huge, big artwork displays here that we're getting. Oh my goodness. Noah and Alice there going on. Can we see that? Really nice stuff out. And the Master System artwork, which I will never forget. It's a time capsule. It's a nice time capsule of a different time, a more innocent time, and the beginning of JRPGs in this country, and where I fell in love with this series 100%. So very thrilled to get this. I've already been listening to this. That's why it was open, and just taking it in. And one side has the FM soundtrack, and thank God the other side does not. And that's the music that I grew up with. I mean, the FM music, yeah, I mean, if you've grown up with that in Japan, that would be cool, but I never grew up with that. So for me to get both versions is pretty cool. And yeah, again, just check it out. And Rieko Kodama, we will not forget you. Thank you so much for your collaboration and everything that you gave to the Phantasy Star series and all the games that you created. You will be sorely missed. Okay, I got the special edition of this game, and I was like, wait a second, this is really weird. The other day, I'm like, where is that Scott Pilgrim vinyl? I ordered that like a year and a half ago. I'm like, is that coming? Did I order it? Did I not order it? I swear, what's so weird, the next day it showed up. So I finally got this, the Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the video game. Classic stuff. You know all the story about this one. This is a very important soundtrack to me, and I think to Kim as well. It's one of the first games we really bonded with, and we played quite a lot back then. And I'm going to use the word nostalgic a lot in this episode, just so you know. This is very nostalgic. It is. It takes me back to that earlier time. And playing this on the 360, and just the beautiful graphics, and you know, harkening back to the old days. And me and Kim also, we love Scott Pilgrim the movie. So that's why this is great and really nice to see this and to, you know, get the soundtrack and all that. I will be definitely listening to this. Okay. I'm telling you, the word nostalgic, you're going to say, oh my God, John, stop saying it. I can't help it. Look at this. Look at this. From Data Discs. Fantasy Zone. Fantasy Zone. Wasn't it so funny? Everything was the Fantasy Zone back then. Even for like Space Harriers. Like, you know, welcome to the Fantasy Zone. And right here is the Fantasy Zone. This was an arcade game in Japan. And a very popular one. And a game that I got on the TurboGrafx and I adore. And I really adore the music for this. And this is, you know, obviously all the music for the game in here. It's just something about Opa Opa, right? Opa Opa was almost a mascot for Sega at the time. Everybody forgets it was like Alex Kidd, it was Opa Opa, and then Sonic came. And then everybody forgets about Opa Opa and Alex Kidd, and everybody's into Sonic, which is fine and all that. But this is real classic music, and you know what? I love Data Discs. They've released so many fantastic soundtracks on vinyl, and really happy to have most of them, that is for sure. So yeah, definitely, if you're into old school music, Fantasy Zone right here. Okay, we're gonna get into games, and I've got a bunch of new games, but I picked up a few old classics, and I got a couple of stories about them if you're interested. Here's one. I went down to a local video game place in Vancouver. It's famous here in Vancouver. It's called Willow Video Games because they have such incredible deals there. They really do. I don't work there. I just shop there. Me and all my friends in Vancouver, everybody knows about Willow if you're into video games in Vancouver. So I went down and I'm like looking at all the old stuff and I'm like, okay. And to be honest with you, most games from the past, I own all the ones I've ever wanted. But there's always that one that, you know, comes up and I look down and I saw this game and I'm like, I must have this. And I looked at the price. I'm like, oh my God. So it was cheap. It was cheap. And that's for Kingsfield 2 here on the PlayStation 1. Why did I have to pick this game up? I had to because all of the PlayStation 1 games that I own up here all mean something to me. They're all from, you know, that time period. And I have a story about every single one of them because I was there to buy every single one of them as they came out. This is one of those ones. I remember being very, very sick when I was like 22 years old. I had a bit of a fever and this sounds funny. And I hadn't gone to PlayStation yet. But what I would do back then, I don't know if any of you would do this back when you were younger. If you didn't own something or a new machine, you'd write down, oh, I want the console. So you'd write the console name, and then you'd write all the games that you wanted for the console that you saw were coming out for it. And this is one of the games, and I only saw a couple of screenshots. I did eventually rent this game. I saw a couple of screenshots for this, and I was like, a first-person dungeon exploration game with combat? I'm like, sign me up. So Kingsfield 2 was on my list. You know, Street Fighter Alpha 2 was definitely on that list. I remember all my lists that I had back then. I still have that list somewhere. I'm going to dig it up one day. But I eventually rented the game, and I rented it a lot later than when it originally came out. And I think there was a lot of other games coming out, and I played it, and I was like, oh, this is pretty good. But it's so nostalgic to me. It's so that time. And my friend Jimmy Hoppa did a real great look back on the Kingsfield series in Japan. I watched that whole thing, and I thought it was really fascinating. But here is, I finally got to own the real game, and for myself, finally after all these years, and put it on the shelf. And it deserves to be with my collection, because it was a part of that time, and I did have a moment with it, and I'll never forget being sick, writing Kingsfield down and fantasizing about this game, of what it was going to be about. I was honestly thinking Skyrim, and then when I played it, it was good, but it wasn't Skyrim. We wouldn't get Skyrim created for another 20 plus years, but fascinating, you know, to finally get this game. So I just wanted to show it. Kingsfield 2. How many of you guys remember that game? Okay. There's something going on with me lately. There's something going on with me that I find really, really funny. I'm becoming very, very retrospective on some things that I kind of was like, you know, I've always enjoyed, but I'm like, oh, you know, I'm not going to collect into that, all that stuff. Genesis Mega Drive shooters. The itch has been going with me for a little bit. And there was one game in particular, one game that I first saw in an arcade in Oregon. It was you'd pay $5 to get into this arcade. This is when I was a teenager. I forget the name of the arcade. I always do. I remember I mentioned it years ago, and people told me in the comments what it was. But it was this arcade back in the 90s. You went and you paid like $5 to $10, whatever it was, and every single game was 5 cents or something, you know. And I went up to this arcade machine, and I thought it was so cool. It was called Airbuster, and what was awesome about it, it showed all the, you know, your ship and all the armaments that it could have and all of that. I'll show TurboGrafx footage here because that's the only footage I have of it right now. But I was really into this game, and I can't tell you, I can't take any of you back into the past and tell you what it was like to go into an arcade. You'll see these graphics, these are the TurboGrafx versions, you'd be like, oh, this looks novel. But to be there at that time when the arcades were king, and this was better than you were getting at home. So, you know, it's one of those late nights, and I'm on eBay, and I see this game right here, and I'm like, man, this game means so much to me. I have the TurboGrafx version, but I always wanted the Mega Drive version because of, look at the artwork. And I'm just gonna sit it right there. There is something about the artwork from this time period, from, you know, the TurboGrafx, Genesis, you know, Mega Drive time period that is so great. I think there's something almost, because I'm not meaning to say this way, but there's an amateur aspect to it. It feels very home done and very personal. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Am I getting that across right? But I adore the artwork of this, and I was like, I've got to have this as part of my collection. I love the anime art from back then and the character designs. I think they're really fantastic, and I love the game in the arcade, and I had to have the Mega Drive version. So yes, that is the small story about that game right there. Okay, we're gonna get into some modern games here, and I know I'm going on about a few things here. Had to pick this up, and I'm saving this, so I'm sorry if I can't put it on like my games of the year if it even enters that. That is for Tactics Ogre, right here. I'm holding off on this game because every Christmas I save a couple of games. I put a couple of games aside that when I get my break, I can just sit and kind of, you know, just have a coffee in an afternoon and really take in and really enjoy and have a moment just kind of for me. And I don't have to review the game or anything like that. I'll probably talk about it in the new year and the games I've been playing or something like that. But can you believe it? We're getting Tactics Ogre. It's all back, man. It's like, it's so ridiculous. For the style of graphics and things, it's great. I'm so happy that we live in the year 2022 and we're still playing games like this. They're still getting ported and upscaled and remastered and all that. So younger players and new players to it can try these out and see what all the hype was about back then and maybe fall in love with the games the way we did as well. So what do you guys think of Tactics Ogre? Are you excited about this game? I really am. I'll be talking a little bit about it in the new year. That's for sure. Okay, I had to snag this. The Last of Us Part 1, the remaster of a remaster of an already damn great game. I mean, I know, but for what it is on the PlayStation 5, I definitely wanted to try this out. And I know that the enhancements they're good, but I mean, it's not game changing. It's a bit of a cash-in for sure. Even I know that. And I'm not letting anything pass that way, but I really like The Last of Us Part 1. It's a true classic. And is it a bit of a cash-in? A bit of a cash grab? Kind of, for sure. But I'm going to play this game and check it out and see what I think and go back to that original story. Okay, I didn't think this was showing up. I thought this was another one. I mean, at Limited Run, they've got a lot of things going on over there, so there's a lot of things being delayed, and I mean, I don't think COVID helped and all of that, but Dawn of the Monsters finally shipped, and I got my copy right here, and I've been looking forward to this game. As you know, I am a big fan of gigantic monsters beating the heck out of each other in cities around the world. It doesn't matter where it is. I always get a kick out of these games, and I used to like, the King of Monsters back in the day, so this is right up my alley. Have any of you guys been playing this? What do you think? I don't know yet. Haven't tried it out, but I love the idea of fighting a lot of monsters and kicking the crap out of people in cities and seeing all the citizens run for their lives. Okay, you were not expecting this. I'm going to drop this on you. This is an incredibly gigantic thing that just arrived. Oh, God of War Ragnarok, the special edition. I've already kind of broken the seal here so I can show a little bit of this. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. Okay, I'm figuring this out one bit at a time. There's a lot of things in here. There's a lot of stuff to look at. Now, I know it comes with some dice here. It comes with some dice. It comes with the two statues right here as well. And the steel book, which should have a code in it. I don't think it doesn't have the actual physical game in it. Yeah, there's a code in it because I heard some people didn't get a code. So the code is here. Now, this is like, oh my God, this is like the Hellraiser mystery box to try to figure this out. Okay, I did it. There is another level within here. Holy, there's so much stuff. Look at this. We got a pin set going on here. That's really cool. A map, I think that's a map going on there. Yeah, and there's just more levels to this. Okay. I see right here. Oh, just like in the game. Have any of you guys been playing God of War? I haven't had the chance to say it here. I'm really loving God of War. It's a fantastic game. Is it a 10 out of 10 game? I am just near the end of the game. It's a close one for me. It's a close one for me. So, had to absolutely snag this. Oh. Oh my God. These special editions are getting crazier by the year. Okay, plastic out of the way. This is what I've been looking forward to. This is what I've been looking forward to. I was talking, I was making so much noise there. This feels pretty good. This is Thor's mighty hammer. I'm gonna put this over here. Look at this. This is nice looking stuff. Wow, this feels weighty. It feels like there's a little bit to it. I can go attack the cats in the neighborhood with it. I'm just joking. This is really something else. I don't think I've seen any unboxings of this yet online, so it's really, really neat to see everything here. Yeah, some weight to... This is going to go on my mantelpiece. Like, this is really, really cool. So, how many of you out there are playing God of War? Are you really enjoying the game? I hope you are. I'm having a blast with it. I've been playing it all week. It's been ridiculous. Lots of late night sessions playing the game. And Kim has been such a great wingman with me. Because sometimes I'm playing a puzzle, you know, like a section of the puzzles, and I'm like, oh, I don't know where to go. She's like, oh, why don't you hit that over there and hit that there? And so I'm like, how did you know how to do that? And so Kim's really, really good. So great wingman, and great to get the special edition, and check all of this out right here. Okay, so the next item is a very unusual one for me and the show. A company wrote to me, and this is not sponsored, there's none of this, and they said, hey, can we send you this item? And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not doing any affiliate links or anything like that. I don't do anything like that on the show. I just show things that I think are cool. And they're like, okay, it's an enhancement for 1080p to 4K resolution for your Switch. It's right here. So I'm going to show it right here. And I'm like, yes, send it over and I'll try it out. I'll give it a shot and all that. So and it's funny with some of these companies, they keep on, messaging you. Hey, have you got the item? Hey, we sent the item. It's like, okay, guys, like I'm a trustworthy guy. I'm going to try it out. I'm not just going to take your product and run or something. So why did I say yes to this? Usually 99.9% of the time I say no because I don't want to review products. I'm not in the mood for that. It's not like that kind of show. But I was fascinated because I like the Nintendo Switch and I wanted to see what this item would do, upscaling it onto a 4K TV, which I have. So obviously this show is not in 4K yet. Maybe in the new year we might go to 4K. I'm still thinking about it. I did a poll online. We seem to be okay at 1080p so far. But going forward, we never know. But I decided to try this out. And here is the device itself. It's got its own power cord cable. So you plug that in the bottom. You plug this into your Switch. And you hit this button here. And it's to enhance it into 4K. What were my findings? I don't know if my TV upscales already, or the Switch just does a little bit of an enhancement itself. I don't know these things. I'm not a technical guy. I'm saying that right now. I hooked this up, and I used my camera to film the screen with, I put in Super Mario 64 for the All-Star version. I put that on. I just paused the screen. And so I played it without the enhanced version. And then I went to the 4K. I turned on the button for the 4K. And did it enhance it? I don't particularly think in my case with my particular TV that it enhanced it too much. It did, but it made it really, really bitty. And I kind of went in with my camera and kind of captured that. I think this is an interesting device. I didn't really see the enhancements there myself, unfortunately, and you know, I feel bad for anybody who sends a product in. I try it out and it didn't blow me away. I'm just saying it didn't blow me away. Maybe on somebody else's TV they might see a more depth of field, because I did go in online and see some other people's videos on it because I want to see if it was just me, but some other people seem to have seen some enhancements. For me, it was okay, but I'll show it again because I'm that kind of guy. Enhanced 1080p to 4K resolution, photo fast 4K. If you're interested in this device, and they show in the back that it does upscale a bit there. Personally, I just didn't see it too much. Okay, we're winding down with a few little items now. Here, these are fan items, and I like to show these because I like to support, you know, fan works. And right here, let's start off with this one, hand-drawn gaming. Does anybody know a Mr. Philip Summers here? I can't show the back because my address is on it. Go figure. That's so funny. He does these hand-drawn game guides. And I've shown the Zelda one before, and he did a Patreon, and he showed this, and he's like, I'm going to produce one of these every couple of months. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to support this guy. So I went to the Patreon and supported him. I think like a lot of people did. I like to support, you know, smaller artists with, you know, ambitions and a love. And I think that's what I feel in his work. There's a love there. He does all of this. I think a lot of this is Copic markers, which I like to use. Mine are over here, type of thing. So I really like his artwork and his commitment, and he releases a little magazine every couple of months with his own hand-drawn artwork, showing it from some game from back in the past and all that, kind of making it like a small Nintendo Power thing. So I decided to support it, just letting you guys know. Philip Summers, I love his work. I had to support him for sure. Now, Shenmue World, another book from Shenmue World with so much stuff in it. Shenmue Dojo and all the people over there do such an amazing job, and I've been a Shenmue fan for life, and they send this over to me, and I gotta say thank you guys. I'm the biggest Shenmue fan in the world. I really am. So, you know, you sending this to me and me supporting you is us supporting the Shenmue community, and that's what I'm always here to do. And so many things in here, including the Shenmue World second issue. I already got the first issue, which was unbelievable. Like, look at this stuff. Look at this stuff. If you're a Shenmue fan, you have to get something like this. You have to get something like this. I mean, for sure. I love Shenmue 1 and 2, Shenmue 3. It was good to return to Shenmue, but I don't think it was as innovative as the first ones, but I still enjoyed my experience there. But always happy to support Shenmue Dojo and Shenmue World. So I'm ending the episode with a Dungeons & Dragons book, as I usually like to do, and that is Dragonlance, Shadow of the Dragon Queen. Man, I've been playing Dungeons & Dragons with Kim for the last month or so, and having such a great time. And one of my favorite series back in the day, I got it right here, was the Dragonlance series. Like, you gotta love, look at the original artwork back in the day they did. Hand painted, you can't beat this stuff. And it's nice to see Dragonlance return to 5th edition here. And I was flicking through this book earlier in the week, and I'm like, yeah man, they did a really good job on the artwork in here, and returning back to Dragonlance. And Dragonlance is just such a fantastic adventure setting back in the day, and me and my friends would always play in Dragonlance. We really liked it, and I remember my friends would have all the books back then and stuff like that. So it's really nice to see a return to Dragonlance back in Dungeons & Dragons. And I'm also excited about the new board game, Warriors of Krynn. I will get into that in the new year and talk about it, because me and Kim are planning on playing it, that is for sure, during our Christmas time off. So, and guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Let me know what you picked up in the way of new game stuff. Let me know down below. So anyways, guys, until next time.